Hello, my name is Imran Owais Kazmi. I'm also known as Crystal Heart Kazmi. I'm actually an American at heart, and it was just unfortunate that I was not born in America. I was born in Pakistan. Why was it unfortunate that I was born in Pakistan instead of America? Because I believe in American ideals of freedom, of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and in Pakistan, mostly in our predominantly quote unquote Muslim society, freedom of expression isn't exactly appreciated. Well, yes, you do have some bit of a bit of media freedom, I would say, but even that, there are certain areas you can't talk about, and if you do, then you are in the bad books of people who matter. I've unfortunately earned the disdain and hatred of a lot of people who believe in religious bigotry and who do not treat people equally. America is about treating everybody the same. I've been to America thrice, 2015, 2016, and 2018. Never overstayed. I went on a B1, B2 visa, never overstayed my visit in America. Was always a law-abiding citizen, never did any hanky-panky, nothing wrong. Was just speaking to the Rotary clubs in America on peace and bringing America together, or helping America discover its true purpose in this world. This is something that I talk about a lot. I believe that America is destined for greatness. A lot of people make fun of me and make light of whatever my points are, but if American leadership, whether in the military or political sphere, was made aware of my ideas, I'm sure they would rhyme with me. The points that I have are very simple about America. America went to wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya, spent a lot of taxpayers' money to what avail? You got terrorists, was that it? I mean, in the old days, it was all about occupation. Americans, what you consider people from Ireland, Spain, or whatever, Columbus, and the people, Italy, Argentina, they all came to America. And the idea was that they invaded this land and from the Red Indian tribes. So when you went to Afghanistan, you should have done exactly the same, replicated your values and your systems in Afghanistan, because Afghanistan had terrible governance, still does. So does Iraq, so does Libya, so does, I would say, 80% of the world that we live in. Look at migration. Where do people want to migrate to? Does anybody want to migrate to Libya or to Algeria or to Bangladesh? Does anybody want to go there? Or to Djibouti and all those places? Well, there are just a handful of places that people want to migrate to. It's the US, Canada, European Union, UK, Australia, New Zealand, maybe Japan, maybe South Korea, and that is maybe Singapore, and that is about it. That's it, a handful of countries that people want to go to, versus versus a lot of countries that people do not want to stay in. So my aim and my dream has been for a very long time to equalize this divide. And the way that this can be equalized could be in the form of a positive recolonization. And America had the opportunity. You guys went to Afghanistan, it was on a plate handed over to you. Well, not exactly on a plate, you fought for it. So was Libya, and so was Iraq. These three countries could have been made role models instead of the failed Springs models that you tried. Springs don't work because if the concept that there are good Pakistanis who are going to reform Pakistan, or there are good Indians who are going to reform India, or good Bengalis who are going to reform Bangladesh, is a pipe dream. It doesn't work that way because those people, regardless of their Harvard or MIT Sloan degrees or whatever, are still regressive in their thinking. They do not look at changing the system as an option. And unless the system is changed in those countries, nothing can change. I've written a lot about it, and I've been talking a lot about it. So I have earned the disdain of jihadis and Islamists for a very simple reason. I spoke about the rights of minorities. There's a minority in Muslims, it's called Ahmadis. And these are guys who claim that there is a prophet after Muhammad. And the thing is that uh, most Muslims do not consider them Muslims, so especially in Pakistan, they consider them non-Muslims. It doesn't stop at that. They kill them, they ridicule them, they demean them, and they consider them quote unquote an enemy of Islam, etc., etc. So, in the 1973 constitution, by a very liberal leader called Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who was later hanged, who was a whining, dining sort of a guy, he succumbed to the mullahs. He was highly educated as well. He succumbed to the mullahs and passed a law in Pakistan that if you must declare that you're an Ahmadi, and in doing so you're a non-Muslim. And he treated them like, no, you wouldn't treat any Muslim like that in America, would you? Would you close the doors of opportunity to Muslims? Or would you want them to, like, would you ridicule them? That's exactly what Muslims are doing to Muslims in Muslim countries. So I started speaking out against it. And I got death threats. I mean, people said that your wife and your daughter should be raped by dogs and on the streets, and you should be beheaded, and this man is marked for killing. Just one of them, tinyurl.com/chk threats, which is CHK Crystal Heart Kazmi threats, I made a video on that, and I very bravely and courageously addressed those people. But what use is this bravery and courage? I haven't gone back to Pakistan since 2016. 2016, I launched 2 political parties in Pakistan, one for women and the other for the poor. It was called the Donkey Party of Pakistan, and people said that you must be linked with the Republicans or Democrats. I think one of your parties has a donkey as a sign or something, so they said that you're linked with the CIA. Oh yeah, I've been called a CIA agent, I've been called an Ahmadi, I've been called all sorts of things, that you're a Western agent, you're anti-Islamic, etc., etc. I should have applied for asylum in America in 2015. I didn't, because I thought, well, someday I'll go back to Pakistan. I did in 2016. Then 2016 I came back to America. Again, I thought about applying for asylum, and no, my son is there and he'll sponsor me. 2018, my son almost sponsored. My son is an American, Al Ghazmi, he lives in California with my ex-wife, another Pakistani woman of the same mindset. By the way, Muslims and Pakistanis or other nationalities that are in America from these third world countries have benefited a lot from America, but their thought process is still the same. And they're not as enlightened as you people are. This much I have experienced. So my ex-wife, she stopped my son from sponsoring me, and he resigned his application. He still says, I love you, Dad. Speechless. What kind of love it is that he sees me suffer. He sees that I have life threats, and he says, change yourself. That's an American son of mine now. Change yourself. Stop offending those people. Yeah, so would you stand for that? Would you do it? Would you shut up just because somebody threatens you? I wouldn't shut the F up. They want to kill me? Let them kill me. I don't give a damn. But what I do want is I want Americans to own me. I've been fighting for America because I believe in America. I wasn't born there. Is that a mistake? My stepbrothers are Americans. My family is Americans. My son is an American. But can't you see the honesty in my eyes and my words and my blogs? The TSA knows about me. The US military should know about me, because Jim Kushner wrote to them about me. He now hates me because I talk about a global police force, and he thinks it's all baloney. He thinks I should also invest my time in making money and not live off my quote-unquote wife's income. Now, I'm a guy whose class fellows are working for the World Bank and IMF and whatnot, and earning about maybe $70,000 a month. I'm from the same business school. I chose the road less traveled. Doesn't mean that I didn't have acumen. When I was in America, there's a huge law firm, I'm forgetting their names, with a K. It's the second largest law firm in America. And a friend, Jason Savvy, connected me to them. And they were very happy to talk to me. And they would have given me a job too, but they wouldn't sponsor me. So my son was to sponsor me. For me to get a $100, $150, $200,000 job in America is not a big deal. I'm qualified from SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management. I have something called Global Professional of Human Resources. I've headed Nokia, mobile phone company of old days. I've headed their operations as a country head. I used to train for them. I've had clients as Citibank and ABN AMRO and Wyeth Pharmaceuticals and Roche Pharmaceuticals and whatnot. I have a very strong CV. I mean, if I had lived my life in America, I would be at least a Fortune 500 CE, if not a multi-billionaire, fining and dining with the Zuckerbergs and whatnot, and working on multi-billion-dollar projects. But my problem is that I'm in the Middle East and Pakistan, where racism is, you guys don't discriminate against people of brown skin color or black skin color. You don't. Your laws stop you from doing that, and you yourself don't believe in that. Donald Trump, no matter what people say about him, has people of all colors and all types working for him. cares about performance. I've read his book, How to Get Rich. It's not exactly about getting rich, it's just more of his management style. But it was interesting. It was an interesting read, I must say. I've also read Richard Branson, Screw It, Just Do It. I'm a trainer and a consultant. I've been training for 25 years, people on leadership. Nigerian government is my client. I've been consulting people on something called the Balance Scorecard, which is an American product, but which is made for North America. I've customized it for the whole world with my own model called CRSQ. But there's no takers for me in my part of the world, my dear, because I'm brown-skinned and I'm outspoken. Both of them are extremely important in this part of the world. They want you, if you're an American, speak in that American accent and you're from New York or Nebraska or whatever, and they'd wine and dine you. But they wouldn't give a damn to me because I'm brown-skinned like them. And also because I'm outspoken, I'm like the ugly duckling, marked for a killing. So, 2018, I went to immigration consultants, and they were all aghast that why the hell doesn't your son sponsor you? And then I talked to them about asylum. They said that, under Trump, asylum is now a very difficult situation, and there are people. They talked to me about a preacher, a Christian preacher in Pakistan, who had a bullet to his head and who had known threats, and he said that even he's not getting immigration. So I don't know what kind of America it is today, that what the Statue of Liberty stood for and what you guys stand for today, I don't know. But I know that I'm an honest man. I don't lie to anybody, and I don't beat around the bush. The fact is that I'm one of you. If you don't accept me as one of yours, then be prepared to see me die by my own, killed by my own. Because I'm living temporarily in Dubai. My wife works here. I don't know how long. My visa is renewed every year. They can deny it any day. If they deny it, where the hell can I go? I have to go back to Pakistan, where there are death threats on me. A highly qualified man, a good human being that I am. If you see my Facebook pages, I'm breaking down, man. I mean, this is not right. You have horrible people living in America that you've given immigration to. I was giving food to poor people in America when I was in New York, 2018. I went to a mosque on 23rd Street. It was under two Indian / Pakistani restaurants. They were interesting restaurants. There was good food there. And I would go to the mosque, and I would like to rest and pray and, chill out a bit, in between my meetings. And over there I saw a lot of poor people, these African Americans, and they were selling those big bus tour tickets and whatnot and show tickets on commission basis in New York. And they'd be resting there. So I'd buy, 10, 12 pizza slices for them, sometimes more. And I'd go there and I'd give each one of them those, $1 slices. And the mosque guy, he said, oh, the mosque is getting dirty. You shouldn't do it here and whatnot. And there are cockroaches and we have to clean it. So I said, all right. And then it would be raining outside or whatever. I'd put the pizzas outside on the shoe stand because there was no other place, no other dry place. I'd put food on a shoe stand, go inside the mosque, and wake up those poor African Americans and say, brother, would you like to come out and have a pizza? And they would say, brother, can you give it to me inside? I said, no, I'm sorry. The preacher man doesn't like me. I'm like, I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot no deputy. That's my story. So the preacher man wouldn't allow me. So they would come out and take the pizzas. One day I served them food outside the mosque, and this preacher man, he came out and said, oh, you're maligning me and this and that. I mean, people hated him. He was the preacher. He was the imam of the mosque, and the other guy, there was a Palestinian guy too. He was also another imam. He was like you guys. He was like a normal American, and he used to hate these guys, bloody Islamists and the bloody hypocrites that are there. He was like a rare sort of a gem that I saw in America among the Muslim community. Most that I saw were extremely myopic. They're eating off America, they're living off America, but what was there in Afia Siddiqui, the woman who's in an American jail, who turned against America, being an American, is there in most Muslim Americans. At least that's what I observed. They're not really loyal to America. They're loyal not to American values. Maybe they're loyal to America per se, maybe they claim it, but they don't have American values. It's still the same values. What I consider American values are values of freedom, values of equality, values of embracing people, diversity, and openness. Those values are not there. There's a mosque in Adams Center in Washington that my nephew, oh wow, yeah, he's also an American, Mahmoud Kazmi, and he seems to own that mosque because he must have made some financial contributions. The imam there was making fun of an American lady, some white Christian woman called Christine, And he gave an example about repentance, and he said that, oh, Christine was my neighbor. He spoke like that, in that nasal manner. And she would go to the church every day early in the morning, while her parents would go much later. And one day I asked her, why do you go so early, Christine? And then Christine responded to this moron that I go early because I sin and I have to confess. And said, what do you sin? And she says that, I have my boyfriend Peter, and, it's a sin. She must have been a Catholic or whatever, So this guy said that, okay, so you will go and you will confess to the sin, and what will you do afterwards? And she said, I'll go and meet Peter. And everybody started laughing. So at the end of the sermon, I went to this preacher man and I said, look, after 9/11, the Americans still allow you to practice Islam and have mosques and whatnot, and they treat you better than you treat them in your Muslim countries. Like the way Christians or minorities are treated in Muslim countries is a no-brainer. Everybody knows that. All the excesses that are done against them. Some are not even allowed to build their churches. And if they do build churches, then they're killed inside those churches. So I said that, they allow you to do all this. And you had to give an example of a Christian woman in your sermon. Could you have given your own example? Did you ever not do something that you repented? Did you not repeat that? Could you not have given an example of a Muslim or something from the Bible or the Old Testament or the Quran if you wanted to? Why did you have to malign an American woman who wasn't even there, who trusted you and who shared everything with you? So my nephew, the American, Mahmoud Kazmi, sort of American doctor, he was shouting at me all the way, this is my mosque. So I'm the ugliest duckling possible, my friends, who you see this video. My son hates me because I'm outspoken. My family hates me because I'm outspoken. I speak the truth. If I was an American, I would be respected and I would be loved. And there are many Americans who love me, from Douglas Wakefield to Mary Lou Cottran. There's a Canadian lady, Teresa LaPlante, Bhatnagar, and there's so many nice Americans, Suzanne Shepherd, Justin Shear. There's a long list of Americans who love me, and I love them because they think like me. They're not exactly Muslims, because I don't get along with Muslims. It's not that I hate Islam or Muslims. I'm a Muslim myself, but a different kind of Muslim. I don't believe in the sort of rhetoric that they believe in. I believe in a sort of an American Islam. If American values were embodied in Islam, that's what I believe in. Is that my fault? Yes, it is my fault. And for that, I'm marked for death in my country. And I want to live in America. I want to be an American. And I want you to embrace me before I die. I will try to come to America. My visa expires on the 16th of May. Take the flight on the 15th of May. I don't know what the TSA does. I'll try and go to the embassy tomorrow. Today is what? Today is the 13th of May. I don't know if they'll even let me in. But I'll try. I love animals. You see, these are my animals. I have my chicken and I have my pigeons, my quails, a 9-year-old daughter that I love dearly, and I'll leave her here alone because I can't be here. I can't get a job here. I can't get any business here. They don't like the color of my skin, man. What the F do I do about my color? What the F do I do about being outspoken? I can't change myself. I'm sorry. Even if you don't let me into America, I can't change myself. And that's the only way I can survive here. So it's a question of sooner or later for me. I remember that song, Telegraph Road by Dire Straits. And the birds upon the wires and the telegraph poles, they can always fly away from this rain and this cold. You can hear them singing out their telegraph codes all the way down the telegraph road. Then came the churches, then came the roads, then came the lawyers, and then came the roads. Then came the trains and the trucks with their loads. I'm on that telegraph road. I wanted to be a reformer of Pakistanis and Muslims. They don't want any reformation. If they could, they would invade you and turn them to be like you. The hell's happening in England? Why do you think the British are against the Muslims over there? I'm a member of a group called British Muslims for Secular Democracy. You should read what they write over there. Guy, a British doctor, I think Pakistani origin, Shah's Mehboob, very good man, a lot like me. Also a practicing Muslim, but almost identical to my thought process. But there are very few Muslims. There are very few Indians and Hindus. There are very few non-Americans who think like this, who think like America. They're very... There's a black cat, I guess, out to eat my chicken. Anyway, my chicken will have to fend for themselves. Yeah, but I'd like to live in America with my animals and with my children and my wife. Even though she hates me for who I am, she thinks I should get a job in a place which doesn't want to give me a job because of the color of my skin. I tried to adjust. When I worked for companies here, but they were so unethical in the way they treated their staff. They abused their staff. And I politely expressed that what they were doing was wrong and illegal, and they said, "Oh wow, you know so much, get the hell out of here." In America, I could have sued them. I stand for whatever is right and whatever is good. But that's not enough in this part of the world. That's not even wanted in this part of the world. That's unfortunately wanted and appreciated in America or UK or Canada or those places. Especially America. Had a great time in New York. A friend of mine, Colette Byfield, visited me in Dubai, 2019. Wanted to visit this year too, but because of coronavirus, she can't. Yeah, by the way, I want to help Americans on coronavirus too. I have some ideas, and I wish the White House or people who matter would listen to me. There's a guy called Dr. Robert Chang in California. He's been put in jail because he's against the pharmaceutical mafia. Now, gladly and thanks to coronavirus, the incompetence of medical science has been gladly and openly exposed. Coronavirus or any virus is about attacking a weak body with a weak immune system. To build a healthy body, you need to eat green grass. Look at my animals, they eat grass. The horse eats grass, the cows and goats, they all eat grass, green stuff. You don't see them having eggs for breakfast, do you? You don't see them having black coffee, or lots of vodka. You just see them on a very, very healthy diet. That's what Robert Chang talked about. He said, well, you can have your alcohol or black coffee or whatever you want, or your pork or your meat or your chicken or beef, whatever, but no more than 20% of your total diet. That is assuming that you're healthy. And if you're not healthy, then go 100-0. Just go on 100% vegetables until you're free of any disease or symptoms. And this hydroxychloroquine, the malaria medicine recommended for coronavirus treatment, what does it do? It makes the environment alkaline. And that's what Robert Chang has been talking about for ages. That's what I talk about. I've added a few things to it. There's another American, Jonathan Kampus. He's a very dear friend of mine. He's in Dubai right now also, under lockdown. And Dr. Kampus also talks about garlic. Garlic is sulfur. Eating garlic and putting cloves of garlic inside your ears, it might sound crazy. I tried it. Once I was having an infection after coronavirus, and I thought, well, maybe I'm having coronavirus because I was having difficulty breathing and whatnot. So I put those garlic bulbs in my ear. This is about 2 months back. I was fine. I was perfectly fine. And eat raw garlic. Also have what you call turmeric, black seed, green vegetables, and you should be fine. I have cucumber and avocado juice. My friends in America that I used to stay with, I was staying with Jim Kushner in New York, 687 West 204th Street, and also with Suzanne Shepard in Riverdale in the Bronx. And then she shifted houses somewhere else in Riverdale with her boyfriend George, who's a very nice guy too. And like I said, the Americans have been like family to me, the American people. I hope the American government also treats me like family. I met the FBI in New York as well, and I told them about whatever I've faced and whatever I've suffered. And they took information from me that was of use to them. They didn't quite help me. They didn't do anything for me. because I understand that you have objectives and you see how useful a person is to meet your objectives. So maybe I'm a good guy for you, but I'm not relevant for your objectives. There must be something I can do to become an American, except put in $1 million, which I don't have. On a humanitarian basis, I request you, I beg of you, to keep me in the land that I intellectually belong to, that I emotionally belong to, and take my physical body out of here. And if I die, at least bury me in America. Bury me in Arlington. Thanks and goodbye.